Hey everyone, I went to an Indian demo day and rode several of their bikes. We're going to continue our 2024 Versus series talking about these rides and comparing the Indians with their greatest rival, the Harleys. There is a vast difference between the Harley demo rides and the Indian demo rides. With Harley, you have to attend a safety briefing before you can ride and follow several rules like no passing, no slingshotting, stuff like that. The rides are always led by Harley people, and before each ride you have to sign up for which bike you want to ride next. The Indian demo rides are nothing like that at all. Once you've verified your motorcycle endorsement and received your wristband, it's a free-for-all. On the first ride, you're expected to go with a leader so that you learn the route you're supposed to take for the rest of the rides. After that initial ride, you can ride whenever you want and whatever bike you want. You don't have to go with a leader, you don't have to go with a group, you don't have to sign up for a bike. All you do is just grab a bike and go. Generally speaking, this works fine when you only have a few people, maybe 10 or 15, but when you get 20 or 30 people and you only have 11 bikes, it becomes a little chaotic trying to figure out who's riding which bike next. Honestly, when there aren't many people, I actually like Indian's method better. It's so much more fun to just be able to grab a bike and go without waiting for a leader and without being limited by the people in front of you. But I didn't enjoy the process when there were a lot of people there. You go to get a bike and someone else gets there first, so you have to sit there and wait for them to get back. The other downside is that people tend to bend the rules because there are hardly any rules to bend. I heard guys talking about riding off the specified route to get some extra ride time, doing their own thing, etc. One guy I was talking to said that he was there last fall and he went off the road and got lost and ended up doing spin outs in a parking lot somewhere, dropped the bike and whatnot before he came back. In the meantime, other people who want to ride that bike have to sit there and wait. So that is another downside of the free-for-all method. The location for this particular Indian dealer wasn't really great either. This dealer is about a half hour from my house. I'm fairly familiar with the location. There really aren't any good twisty roads in that area. A couple of fun corners, but nothing that really stands out. And there's a decent amount of traffic, so car and truck traffic definitely slowed things down at times. Also, the dealer did not get the full Indian truck for this weekend. They just got the trailer, which means fewer bikes. Several of the bikes were not present: the Scout Classic, Super Scout, Chief Bobber, Chief Dark Horse, several others. I really wanted to ride the Springfield Dark Horse, but it wasn't available on the trailer. What we did have available was the FTR R Carbon, Scout Bobber, Sport Scout, 101 Scout, Sport Chief, Super Chief Limited, Springfield Classic, Chieftain Limited, Challenger Dark Horse, Roadmaster Limited, and Pursuit Limited. I rode 9 of those 11 bikes. One thing I experienced across most, if not all of the Indian bikes, is the reach to the bars. If you've watched my channel for any length of time and remember back to when I owned both an Indian Scout and then a Chieftain, I struggled with the length of these bikes in the long reach to the bars. I'm 5'6", and every single one of these bars was a stretch for me. Of course, some bikes are designed that way on purpose. The more sporty bikes have an aggressive stance. The Sport Scout and Sport Chief, the FTR, the Scout 101, for instance. But even on the bikes that are supposed to have a relaxed riding position, the Springfield, Chieftain, Challenger, I could feel a little bit of strain on my shoulders from reaching to the bars. Probably the one bike that was most comfortable with the stock bars was the Springfield. That bike comes closest to being comfortable for me. They had also put reduced reach bars on the Roadmaster, so that was very comfortable for me. Even though the reduced reach bars only give another 2 inches of pullback, that 2 inches made a huge difference. So if I were to get an Indian, reduced reach bars would definitely be in order. Let's get to the actual review. Today's review is on the Super Chief Limited. This bike goes up against the Harley Heritage Classic. They have similar weight and both have a windshield and leather saddlebags. The Super Chief Limited has the 116 engine with 120 foot-pounds of torque. The Heritage Classic has the 114 engine with 119 foot-pounds of torque, so they are neck and neck in terms of power. The Super Chief Limited weighs about 10 pounds more than the Heritage, so power to weight ratio may be a tiny bit less, but not enough to notice the difference. Seat height is also almost identical between the two, with only a 1/10 of an inch difference. Lean angle is also the same. Both have forward foot controls with floorboards. Both provide decent wind resistance with the windshields. The Heritage has a 5-gallon tank, whereas the Chief has a 4-gallon tank. The Super Chief Limited has a starting price of $22,000 and the Heritage has a starting price of $22,500. If you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of power, you can get the base Super Chief, which has the 111 engine on it. It starts at a lower price of $19,000. Indian gets a point for lower pricing and providing a lower cost model that is even more competitive. As far as features go, Indian wins on this as well. The gauge is up on the center of the handlebars where it's easy to see. It has a digital gauge, riding modes, and all LED lights. The Heritage gauge sits down on the tank where you have to look down to see it. It has an analog gauge, no riding modes, and only the headlight is LED. When it comes to comfort, this goes to Harley, at least for me. The Harley fits me better for my height and arm length than the Super Chief does. Both are similar for handling, no major issues. They both have a little bit of a lower ground clearance and a small lean angle, so it's fairly easy to scrape the pegs on either one of these. On paper, it looks like the Super Chief Limited edges out the Heritage Classic by just a little bit. But what is it like to actually ride these two bikes? How do they compare in terms of the fun factor? This is where I am torn. Quite honestly, I want to give this to Harley, even though the Harley's gauge system stinks. I owned a used Heritage Classic last year and had it for a couple months. The reason I got rid of it was because I wanted a bike with a fairing and infotainment. For what it was a nice bike. There's something about the Super Chiefs that I struggle to put my finger on, and I just don't enjoy riding them very much. They're not bad bikes. In fact, they seem to be better than the Heritage, but for some reason I still prefer the Heritage. I'm not totally sure why. Both bikes feel like kind of humdrum, nothing special, plain Jane bikes. When it comes to looks and aesthetics, I prefer the Harley. Maybe that's why I would go with the Harley or the Super Chief Limited. I don't like the sloped, soft saddlebags on the Super Chief. They don't appeal to me at all. What it comes down to is that I don't have a clear winner between these two. I'm calling it a tie. The Super Chief has better electronics and is less expensive, but the Harley is more comfortable and looks better to me. So if I had to make a choice between these two bikes, I would probably say neither and go buy something else. That is it for this one, folks. Stay tuned for the next video when we tackle the Springfield versus the Road King. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like. See you on the next one.